back, everyone. I'm Jordan Giesecke, and this is The Limiting Factor. It's time for the big kahuna, Battery and Powertrain Investor Day. Whether you're an investor, a battery geek, or both, like me, you should get value out of this. If my analysis is correct, then, as Elon said,
it blows my mind, and I know it.
I'm going to reveal everything I've uncovered about Battery and Powertrain Investor Day in a series of videos. In this first video, I'm going to reveal the key numbers. The second video will cover the technical details of how I arrive at these numbers. And the third video will cover the potential partnerships and scaling. Let's get right into it. I believe Maxwell has already told us what to expect at Battery Investor Day. I can draw a clear line between this chart and my research. Wait, what? Yep. This chart lines up with what I've found independently in my own research. Let's start with performance. If Tesla can score a perfect trifecta with improvements to the cathode, anode, and electrolyte, and get verification and materials lined up in time, they'll kick off production with a 385 watt-hour/kg battery. Anytime you're using new materials and manufacturing processes, it takes some time to perfect and scale it. If they can't get all this lined up, they'll start with around 300 or 330 watt-hours/kg. Then, 12 to 18 months later, they'll make the leap to 385 watt-hours/kg. However, I'm banking on 385 watt-hours/kg from the beginning. Tesla has had around 2 years to load the dice since the 300 watt-hour/kg Maxwell battery was verified. Notice that Maxwell's path goes well beyond 385 watt-hours/kg. A cycle of research, sourcing, and execution will occur every 18 to 24 months, like shooting fish in a barrel. We now understand what is going on in batteries well enough to create a clear roadmap several years in advance, much the same way we do for microchips. This is thanks to the research of people like Jeff Dahn and Shirley Monk. I've done videos on each of them, which you can find linked above or in the description. There's clearly an acceleration of the battery curve going on as a result of their research. The last doubling of battery-specific energy took 20 years. In 1997, specific energy was 125 watt-hours/kg, and in 2017, it was 250 watt-hours/kg. Then, in 2027, we're looking at 500 watt-hours/kg. So, the last 20 years, we saw 3.5% improvement in specific energy per year. Then in the next 10 years, we'll see 7% improvement per year. Maxwell's performance target is backed up by the work of SilLion. SilLion was identified by Galileo Russell at Hyperchange as a potential Tesla acquisition or acqui-hire. According to SilLion's documentation, they were targeting 390 watt-hours/kg. This is breathtakingly close to Maxwell's predicted 385 watt-hours/kg. SilLion has provided an excellent summary of where I've been expecting battery technology to head next, and is a good teaser for what I'll be covering in depth in my next video. SilLion's technology delivers a breakthrough in high-energy batteries by simultaneously incorporating high-loaded silicon anodes, nickel-rich NMC cathodes, and a non-flammable ionic liquid electrolyte. I covered some of these features off in my very first video, which you'll find linked above or in the description if you're curious to see how my thinking has developed over time. Why is 385 watt-hours/kg significant? 350 watt-hours/kg is the specific energy that batteries need to be at for adoption across transport types, such as cars, boats, and aircraft. There would be some exceptions like supersonic aircraft, which would require at least 500 watt-hours/kg. I covered that in my last video, linked above and in the description. Let's move on to cost. SilLion is expecting a battery that will cost 30% less per kilowatt hour. Currently, Tesla batteries cost around $100 a kilowatt hour. At 30% less, that would mean $70 a kilowatt hour. And that's not figuring in the additional savings provided by Maxwell's dry coating technology. I'm trying to be conservative here, but these numbers are just astounding. The battery pack that holds the cells usually adds 50% to the cost. For example, $70 a kilowatt hour at the cell level means $105 a kilowatt hour at the pack level. However, Tesmanian has reported that Tesla is increasing the cell size to a diameter of 1.57 inches. If that's true, it has several implications. 1. The cell could only be made larger if the electrolyte is less flammable and can operate at higher temperatures. I'll talk more about this in the technical deep dive video. 2. The cooling system could be simplified, making the pack easier to manufacture. 3. Fewer cells are required, meaning that instead of around 4,400 cells needed for a Model 3 pack, it would be less than 1,000. This means a pack with around 75% fewer battery connections, meaning less soldering, meaning easier and cheaper to manufacture. These pack-level cost savings might mean that Tesla doesn't even need to hit 385 watt-hours a kg at the cell level to reduce costs, and can make up for cost savings with the design of the pack. Ultimately, it doesn't matter whether the cost savings come from the cells or from the pack. What matters most is the total weight and cost. But let's assume that the 385 watt-hours a kg is correct, because all the signs are pointing to that. With these pack-level cost savings in mind, for $70 a kilowatt-hour at the cell level, we'd be looking at less than $100 a kilowatt-hour at the pack level when production is scaled. These pack costs line up with the timeline that Elon has provided. At the 2018 annual meeting, Elon completely let the cat out of the bag.
We think at the cell level, probably we can do better than $100 per kilowatt hour, maybe later this year. And then with further improvements to the cell chemistry and the production process and more vertical integration on the cell side, for example, integrating the production of cathode and anode materials at the Gigafactory, and then an improved design of the module and pack, we think long term we can get below $100 a kilowatt hour at the pack level, which is really the key figure of merit for a car. But long term meaning definitely less than 2 years. That's Tesla long term.
Let's apply this to one of Tesla's current vehicles, the Model 3. With current pack costs of $150 a kilowatt hour and an average pack size of 60 kilowatt hours, it would cost $9,000 for just the battery pack in each vehicle. With pack costs at $100 a kilowatt hour, that would drop to $6,000 per vehicle. That's a cost savings of 30%, or $3,000 on the pack alone. Let's look further into the future with Maxwell's timeline. Getting from 385 watt-hours a kg in 2020 to 435 watt-hours a kg in 2024 should be straightforward compared to the expected leap from Tesla's current 250 watt-hours a kg to 385 watt-hours a kg. This would be a matter of pushing up to the limit of the chemistry they will reveal, rather than creating a new chemistry. This would be similar to how Tesla has improved the chemistry in the Model S regularly over the years, even though cell size and overall cell chemistry has remained steady. If the Maxwell slide is correct and Tesla can hit 435 watt-hours a kg in 2024 and the cost curve remains constant, this means another 13% increase in specific energy and another 8% improvement in cost, putting them around $90 a kilowatt hour at the pack level. $90 a kilowatt at the pack level means you can make an affordable EV. In my view, this is why Tesla is starting to tease a compact electric vehicle to be designed in China. With this $90 a kilowatt hour pack, and factoring in all of Tesla's other manufacturing and capital efficiencies, I think they could safely create a small, affordable vehicle that would sell in high volume starting in 2024. At 500 watt-hours a kg by 2026, a cheap vehicle would be on the cards, or a compact vehicle with very high margins and long range. 500 watt-hours a kg would take a new chemistry and would be more difficult, but it's within sight of current research and nests with Maxwell's technology stack. More on this in the next video. If you factor in fuel and maintenance, electric cars are already competitive with internal combustion engines for a mid-size sedan. If electric cars were not only cheaper to maintain, but also cheaper to buy in the first place, this would be a double hit to the fossil fuel industry. This doesn't even take into account that Tesla is expecting their cars to last several times longer than internal combustion vehicles. Add all this up, and it's game over for the internal combustion engine.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the f*** are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
In my next video, I'll explain in depth how I arrived at these numbers and the technology involved. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe below. This really helps out the channel. In order to get to Battery and Powertrain Investor Day, I need at least 1,000 subscribers. I've also started a Patreon. You'll find the details of that in the description. I appreciate all of your support, and thanks for tuning in.